What's going on, folks? We are back for another bonus episode of the MMA Lockcast, the second for June and likely the last for June as well. Just a reminder, I do break down all these regional events on the Lock of the Night Patreon. This weekend was the busiest weekend that I've had, hence why the late release of this PFL one. Normally, I only released one regional breakdown per month for free on the YouTube page, but since we had so much action this weekend, I thought we might as well give you guys a little bit more. So we had Cage Warriors, LFA, and KSW yesterday, and then today, I guess it is now past midnight on Saturday, we have PFL, Octagon, and the UFC. So if you're looking for Octagon breakdowns, I'll have written breakdowns for those. So check that out on the Lock of the Night Patreon page, as well as you can find what the track plays are that I have for this PFL Europe card, as well as the UFC card as well. No video for this one. I just want to get this one done with ASAP. It's been a long freaking day, and I want to be sure to get this out for you guys as quickly as possible. I'm not going to put many bells and whistles, and even when I break down this card, I'm going to get right to the point. I'm not going to dilly-dally. I might just do quick picks real quick here for you guys. Again, appreciate all the love and support that you guys have been showing throughout the week. The only other thing that I would like to plug before getting into it is the MMA Fight Archive. This has made my life so much easier, having everything in one spot so that I can just quickly research, or at least effectively research, all these fighters on these upcoming cards. I have over close to 3,800 fighter profiles on there for you guys to utilize and study off of, covering 17 different promotions, new profiles being added every day. It is the one-stop shop if you're looking to do your own researching, predicting, analyze, breaking down cards, or even handicapping these cards. There's a reason why some of the top cappers, analysts, commentators, coaches, and fighters utilize this service, because they can ensure they leave no stone unturned when they're doing their researching for these MMA events. As you guys can see on the screen here, a ton of MMA for you guys to dig into on here. There's a 7-day free trial available as well. Try it out for free yourself, see what all the hoopla is about, and then I promise studying MMA will never be easier after you utilize the MMA Fight Archive. All right, let's get right into this bad boy. Again, I'm going to get right to the point for every single one. I don't want to spend too much time. It is almost 1 a.m. over here on the East Coast, and I believe the fights kick off in just under 12 hours. So let's get this out for you guys ASAP. All right, first fight of the night, Begley, plus 170, going up against Paulina Wisniewska. I just heard it and spoken by a Polish commentator, and I still messed it up there. But Paulina seems to be the at least stronger fighter here. She does a great job in terms of keeping her opponents up against the cage, dragging them to the ground. She has an extensive amateur MMA record as well. Now she's 2-0 as a pro. Begley is a little bit clunky with a lot of her process. She's a little strong, has some good success in the clinch as well. And even though she has the experience advantage here, I'm still going to go with Wisniewska by decision. Minus 210, a little wide, but she should still get the job done. Next up, squash match here between Alexander Luster, minus 650, going up against the 19-year-old Karabulut, coming in at plus 475. Luster's only loss is to a standout Octagon prospect in Max Holzer in a split decision loss that he suffered that night. Very close fight, but Luster has a solid striking game, has been very active in the grappling competition realm, and I do believe he has all the advantages in this matchup over Karabulut, who does have a puncher's chance, but this guy is complete crap pretty much everywhere in the cage. I expect Luster to take this to the ground almost immediately and look for a submission if he wants the easiest path to victory. Let's not play too much with the power that Karabulut might have, and look for Luster to out-grapple him and then submit him within one round. If the last match was a squash match, this one is a H-bomb of a match. Ben Woolliss, minus 5,000 against Nikola Ivanovic. Woolliss is a credentialed kickboxer. Ivanovic is 0-7. Woolliss smash. Next up, Valentina Scatizzi, minus 380. Marie Loiseau coming in at plus 305. Scatizzi fell short in her PFL Europe final last year to Dakota Decheva, so we can't blame her. She likes to take opponents to the ground, grind them out, utilize her BJJ blue belt, and just smash her opponents. Not that highest level. She's 2-2. She's going up against a 43-year-old who's only beaten scrubs. I expect this to be a little bit competitive early with Louiseu having a size and reach advantage. She might be able to touch up Scatizzi a little bit, but I think it's just a matter of time before Scatizzi gets this to the ground and then eventually finds a finish from top position. Next up, Kakhorov, minus 1,000, going up against Thomas Gronvall, coming in at plus 650. Kakhorov is probably one of the best fighters that PFL Europe currently has right now. He won their season last year, and he's hoping to make it 2 in a row here. He is the far better striker here against Gronvall. I think his defensive grappling will allow him to stay away from the grapple-heavy style of Gronvall, and I think it actually leads to a Kakhorov finish here as well. So give me Kakhorov and Kakhorov inside the distance. Mark Ewen, minus 900, going up against Claudio Pacella. I backed Pacella last time around against Patrick Habirora, as I did like the gas tank and engine on Pacella, but it seemed like he started to get a little bit more hesitant as he started to feel the power and technical advantage that Habirora had, and I expect the same thing to happen here with Ewen being a much better striker, way faster, way slicker, way crisper with his shots. Pacella could make this close if his chin manages to hold up, which is why I would probably say just stay away from this matchup, but I do think Ewen eventually lands a big shot here to put Pacella out and wins this fight by knockout. Next up, we got Louiseu Gevers coming in at minus 110, going up against Karolina Wojcik, coming in at minus 120. Gevers, judo black belt. I believe she has a purple belt in BJJ. She had a close fight against Valentina Scatizzi, and I think she learned a lot from that matchup, and that's why we saw her bounce back with the win earlier this year over D. Begley, utilizing a lot of her judo and slamming her on her head, and I'm expecting Gevers to kind of lean on that a little bit here against Wojcik, who normally looks to take her opponents to the ground and drown them there. But over her last couple of fights, Wojcik has been leaning on her striking and output, but she just doesn't have enough of a threat with her punching power. And I think anytime Wojcik tries to cross the pocket here, we'll see Gevers get her judo going, look to take this fight to the ground, get some good smash moments from on top. I lean ever so slightly to the Gevers side, as I think we'll see the more damaging blows and bigger moments come from her in this matchup, and which is why I'll pick her to win this by decision. Next up is supposed to be Dominic Wooding going up against Luke Shanks, but Luke Shanks pulled out. In steps Julian Pierre Lopez, who pulled off an upset in his last matchup. There are no odds for this fight, so just to the point, I think Wooding is the better striker here. I do think that he'll have good enough takedown defense to keep this fight upright against a guy in Lopez, who's just a little bit too wild and often just looks to jump guillotine against his opponents. Even though Wooding got grinded out by his last opponent, Kikadze Bondo, I think Lopez is not as good of a grappler as Bondo, and Wooding should be able to control this matchup. I don't know if we'll get odds for this fight by the time the event kicks off, but I do still think Wooding wins this fight. I'd put him close to like minus 300, minus 350 in this spot. Next up, Ibragimov coming in at minus 555, going up against Josh Reed, who comes in at plus 405. Ibragimov was 7-0 as an amateur, 6-0 as a pro, showcases a very relentless grapple-heavy style. His striking is really coming along as well, throwing a lot of head kicks, has some nasty 1-2s down the pipe, but his timing on his takedowns are very high level, and only at 19, 20 years old, this kid has a ton of potential, especially with training at a great team like Manchester Top Team. Josh Reed, a BJJ black belt, trains with Jack Shore and Brett Johns, but nowhere near the level of those guys. Reed has decent submissions, but I think we'll see Ibragimov stave those off, land the better strikes from on top, open up a submission opportunity of his own, and then get Reed out of there pretty quickly. Next up, Chanel Dyer, minus 370, going up against Marion Torchinava, coming in at plus 295. Dyer is a very solid kickboxer, and she's now 4-0 in her MMA journey. She's clearly showcasing big improvements in her grappling. She's even taking grappling matches on the sides. A lot of her best work is done in the striking realm, throwing combinations, a lot of elbows, a lot of knees, a lot of high kicks, very smooth, and her takedown defense very high level as well. We haven't really even seen her lose even a minute in her pro career thus far. Torchinava has been facing very low-level competition on the Georgian regional scene. She's mainly been bullying opponents by taking them to the ground and grinding them out, but she's going to struggle to take Dyer down here. I fully expect Dyer to be able to keep this fight upright or at least land some good damage in the clinch while Torchinava struggles to get this fight to the ground, and then from there we should see Dyer really start to open up and possibly finish Torchinava within 2 or 3 rounds. Next up, we got McGrillen-Evans coming in at minus 215, going up against Zaharovs, coming in at plus 175. McGrillen-Evans is a guy that I've been a fan of for a while, but he did end up losing his first professional fight last time around against the slicker striking and speed of Wisniewska. McGrillen-Evans normally crashes the pocket with a little bit wide of shots and, a lot of big power, normally putting his opponents away. But Maya showcased that if you're just a little bit faster, a little bit longer, a little bit slicker with your striking, you can catch McGrillen-Evans with a lot of good counters, and that could demoralize him and even start taking fights to the ground where you can grind him out from there. And McGrillen-Evans is solid in terms of at least being able to battle back from adversity, but still is very reliant on getting finishes to get his hand raised. His opponent this weekend, Zaharovs, was a guy that I was expecting to be a bit of a pushover coming into this matchup to try to get McGrillen-Evans back into the win column, but Zaharovs has some good chops. He has some slick striking down the pipe as well, and he has that length that could potentially cause McGrillen-Evans issues. McGrillen-Evans will obviously be the better striker here, but I think if Zaharovs utilizes good footwork, stays away from the big left hook of Louiseu, he should be able to land some good shots of his own and then start to shoot some takedowns. He's 6-2 as a pro. His 2 losses are against some very solid competition, and he's been training out of SPG Ireland. I believe SPG Ireland, but at least with SPG and alongside Kieran Clark, who is a super high level prospect for PFL Bellator. So I don't mind a dog shot here on Zaharovs, as I do believe he'll be more than prepared for the power striking style of McGrillen-Evans. He has the body for it, he has the physique, he has the frame, and he has the grappling chops to give McGrillen-Evans some issues here. So I'm gonna lean Zaharovs. I wouldn't even be surprised if he's able to snatch up a submission at some point, but I look for him to at least win the first 2 rounds here and hopefully survive the third to end up getting his hand raised here. Next up, Jack Grant, minus 750, going up against the aging Charlie Leary, who comes in at plus 550. Jack Grant is made his PFL debut last time around against Ibragimov and had a much closer fight than the odds indicated, having some good success of his own with his grappling. He was landing some good damage even while Ibragimov was getting some close submission attempts, but Grant showcased he is a legitimate veteran with some good skills and could be a problem in PFL, which is why he is now a minus 750 favorite in his second trip to the cage. Charlie Leary likes to really get his work done when he's able to exchange in the pocket with his opponents. He has some big power, but as we've been seeing over his last couple of fights, his durability is really starting to dwindle. We saw him get finished last time around by Yancy Medeiros, and he is starting to slow down, which is not a good look as he continues to take on very tough competition. I believe he's on a 3-fight losing streak right now, with one of those getting changed to a no contest due to a positive test from Yancy Medeiros, but still very tough for Leary to get off on a dub at this stage of his career, and I just don't think that's going to happen for him here against Jack Grant, who should be able to take him down and eventually find a submission. Next up, co-main event, Mousah coming in at minus 115, going up against Tuke, coming in at minus 115. Very close fight here on the odds. Mousah is a guy that normally likes to take his opponent's heads off with the power punching approach. He's durable. He's a veteran, has a ton of experience. He's always going to be around the European scene as a mainstay, as he's built a great name and reputation for himself. His defensive grappling is improving, but he still finds himself getting stuck against the cage or in bad positions at times. He's slowly working on being able to get up quicker, but talented guys will be able to keep him in those spots, as we saw from Jakub Kashuba last time around. Tuke is a guy that I've never really been a big fan of, but he is slowly winning me over with his long, lanky, and unorthodox frame that he brings to the table. He likes to utilize a lot of movement from outside, and I think that's going to cause Mousah some issues here. I think we'll see Tuke frustrate Mousah while he dances around at distance, lands some kicks from distance, and then eventually starts to get the grappling game going, where I feel like Tuke could start riding out positions similar to what he did against his opponent 2 fights ago. I believe it was Connor Hughes that he was able to hand his first professional loss to. Tuke is unorthodox. He is slimy at times, and he could be susceptible to getting hit by a big shot by Mousah. But I think if Tuke sticks to the game plan, sticks on his bicycle, and then eventually exploits the grappling openings when they show themselves, he should be able to get some good spots and grind out the tough Mousah to pick up a decision victory. And the main event, very novel main event here with Savannah Marshall coming in at minus 650, going up against Brasilia Morelia Vargas coming in at plus 475. Yeah, not much to say about this matchup. Marshall coming from the boxing world with a 13-1 record. Her only loss was to Clarissa Shields a year or so ago. She's clearly being brought into the PFL to try to capitalize on her hype and her notoriety. She's being set up against a black belt in kickboxing in Morelia Vargas, who's 1-2, and her 2 losses have come to the same fighter. This seems to be a setup spot for Marshall. It's tough to trust somebody coming over from the boxing world at minus 650 against somebody who's been training MMA, but by the looks of it, seems like Vargas not that good with the grappling to begin with. So this might turn out to be a striking contest, and even the striking that I've been seeing from Vargas, just not that good. I will lean with Marshall here, Marshall by knockout. But again, I'd be very wary about betting somebody at minus 650 who's so new to the mixed martial arts world. There you guys go. 14 fights broken down for you guys. There was another fight that was called off. I can't recall it off the top of my head, but there whatever fight that I did not cover here has been called off. So there you guys go. All right. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the breakdowns. Hopefully we're on pace here for a good showcase of predictions. As you guys can tell, a lot of favorites that I'm picking to win this event. A lot of heavy favorites as well. I would be very weary in terms of creating full card parlays. There are bound to be some landmines here. There's only one underdog, I guess, I've really picked on this entire card, outside of those very close pick'em fights. But yeah, I'd be very sketchy and skeptical about this card, all in all. PFL cards and Bellator cards are normally set up spots for guys that are fighting in their hometowns or home country, and that's what I see in this case. So I'd just be very careful, is all I'd say. All right, UFC goes down this tonight as well. OKTAGON is going to go down roughly around the same time as PFL. So if you're looking for breakdowns for OKTAGON, make sure you guys check out the Lock of the Night Patreon page, as that's where I'll have written breakdowns for that event, as well as some track plays for you guys as well. All right, appreciate all the love and support. And yeah, that's going to be a wrap on the pre-event content for me this week. I'll be back after the UFC card wraps up for my immediate reaction show for that card. All right, good luck on all your action, folks. I'll see you guys later Saturday night. Peace.